People in our country live long ago. Our country is part of North America. Native Americans were the first people to live in North America. Hundreds of different groups lived there. Each group had its own way of life. The Appalachies. The Appalachian people lived in northwest Florida. The Appalachians were farmers. They grew corn, beans, and squash. They hunted deer, bear, and other animals. The Appalachians built large mounds. These mounds were used for special ceremonies. The mounds were also used as places for their leaders' homes. The Appalachians made pots and bowls too. You can see some examples here. Where the Appalachians lived. The Appalachians lived in northwest Florida. The Lenape. The Lenape people lived by the Delaware River. Later, this area became part of the northeast region of the United States. The Lenape lived in large houses with curved roofs. They were called longhouses. Several families shared one longhouse. The Lenapes fished in the river. Many of the other things they needed from the forests. They used wood and bark from trees to build their houses. They hunted deer and beavers. They used the skins from the animals to make clothes. The Lenapes grew food in gardens. They grew corn, beans, and squash. Where the Lenapes lived. The Lenapes lived in the Northeast. The Comanches. The Comanches lived on grassy plains in an area that is now part of Texas. The Comanche people lived in teepees. Teepees are a kind of tent. They are easy to set up and take down. Teepees made it easy for the Comanches to move from place to place. They moved to follow the buffalo herds. The Comanches hunted the buffalo. Buffalo meat gave them food. The Comanches made clothes, blankets, and teepees from the skins. They used buffalo bones to make sewing needles. They used the horns to make bowls and cups. Where the Comanches lived. The Comanches lived on grassy plains in this area. The Chumash. The Chumash lived along the Pacific coast. Some lived on nearby islands. The Chumash lived resources from the sea to live. They built long, narrow boats called canoes. They hunted for seals, tuna, and whales. The Chumash hunted deer and other animals too. The people gathered food. They looked for berries, wild plants, and acorns. The Chumash left behind colorful pictures on the walls and ceilings of caves. It was their way of asking their gods to help them live a good life. Where the Chumash lived. The Chumash lived near the Pacific Ocean.